right, welcome back. Just from discussing about digital marketing, now on to Inter-School Debate Symposium and Career Fest, a platform that brings the young minds on board, nurturing their talents and their abilities to make successful entrepreneurs in Kenya. So far we are in Kenya, that's what I am meant to understand. But before I get into, telling you more about it, how about letting Gordon greet us and introduce himself?
Thank you so much for having me this morning. My name is Gordon Oduor from Semanami Organization. I'm the CEO and founder as well. Yeah, pleasure.
So what do you do at Semanami?
I run Semanami. Yeah.
That is quite brief, because
Yes.
if someone is at home asking Semanami, he or she will be like, what is that about?
Semanami is actually a platform which we created where you can address your issues and your issues to be sorted. I founded this organization 5 years back while I was a high school teacher, and I realized some of the challenges that students were going through. And I decided, let me create a platform where these students can be able to air their grievances and they can be able to get support or exposure in whatever areas they're good at. Yes, sure.
So I have two questions to be asking here.
Exactly.
You've mentioned that you are a high school teacher.
Exactly.
Before we get on set, you told me you're a media personality. So
Of
how do
course.
they relate?
I became a high school teacher before I became a media personality. I taught for 2.5 years, then went and re-advanced on my degree in media studies at Daystar University. Yes, sure.
That is very interesting. Now, Semanami, what age group or what group does it deal with?
When you talk about Semanami, the age group is so robust in that we tackle the teenagers, that is those who are in high schools. We also target those who are in campuses and colleges, that is age 18 and around 25. But also we factor in the aged, that is between 25 all the way to 50, because we also have programs that are tailor-made to such ages. Yeah.
All right.
Yes, sure.
Now, looking at, you said it's 5 years since you began Semanami.
Exactly.
So looking at the milestone, do you have like success stories you can mention about what you do so that we can get to understand what exactly happens and how this has helped the society?
If I begin talking about the successful stories, I might write a whole paragraph, but let me try and summarize it into a summary. When you talk about high schools, we've been able to expose some of the talents in some of these high school students, where they've been able to expose them, and some of them have been able to get some awards out of them, sponsorship and a bit of scholarships. Now, when you talk about those who are post high school, those are the universities and colleges who work under me through drama and creative arts. Some of them have been able to become one of the greatest MCs and hype men, running very successful TV shows. Like, I have an example of a lady known as MC Gitabi, who is doing an amazing job at KTN. And also a few who've also developed their talents, their MC talents through Semanami, and are doing very great jobs as a radio host and and all other creative fields. And on the upper age, we've been able to create medical camps that have helped so many people in the community rediscover their health and get health assistance. And yeah.
So this year you're expecting over 500 students from 30 schools. What should you expect?
500 is an understatement. We are expecting
over?
1,000. Yeah, so this Inter-Schools is our annual festival where we bring schools from different high schools from Nairobi County and Kajiado County together, where they're able to compete in terms of debate, talent, and also other creatives. Now, we decided to come up with this festival because we realized that there's so many young people, so many students who have got a lot of talent outside here. And some of them, they haven't gotten that real platform where they can be able to exercise these talents and expose them. So this idea came as a subsidiary to the annual secondary schools drama festival, government drama festival, where you realize that not so many schools can be able to participate because of financial constraints. So we came up with an alternative that can be able to give them the same equal platform. Yeah.
It's happening on 21st of June, 2025. So how do you get students on board? Because at that time they'll be in school.
Since it's part of the school activity, so it's that obvious that it will be the students themselves during that time. The students will be in school, of course, and it's something that we've done right now. It's our fourth year doing it, and we've been able to create contact among schools, and schools that often attend these events, they always get positive feedbacks. Now through positive feedbacks, we get referrals of other schools. Like when we started with 10 high schools, but right now the immediate event we did, that was last year, we had like a close to 14 high schools. This year we're expecting over 20 high schools because of that referrals, the good referrals.
That
Yeah.
is impressive.
Thank
Now,
you.
what is the drive behind such events? Because if you hear so many non-profit organizations, they will
That's
talk
true.
of there was a burden of maybe we saw a gap in girls being mistreated, we saw a drug problem, we saw a problem where there was so much unemployment. So what was the drive behind coming up with the Inter-School Debate Symposium and Career Fest?
First of all, when I talk about creatives, the world is moving at a very high speed, and creativity is fast taking over the field of entrepreneurship, where young people are making a lot out of their creatives. And the best way to tap into creativity as part of building the creative economy is to tap them while they're still at school. Because once a student is able to realize his or her talent while it's at school, it's very easy for that person to move with that talent from high school all the way to to other advanced tertiary stages. So that is one of the things that really made me tap into this, because I wanted to create a platform whereby they can be able to rediscover their talents while they're still in high school. Yeah, because personally I believe in impacting. Our organization is all about impacting life, so we need to impact them while they're still young, so to speak. And also when it comes to debate, I also realize that when we talk about oratory skills amongst students, it's also good to start developing those skills as early as they are still in high school, so that by the time they get outside there, at least they've developed it. And through such kind of forums and initiatives that I've created, at least it helps these students expose that which is beneath them. Yeah.
So how do you ensure continuity of talent development? Because they're in different schools.
Now, after the festival, we usually partner with organizations that do work with them through this journey. For instance, this year we've partnered for modeling. Let me talk about modeling, for instance. We've partnered with modeling academies, very serious modeling academy. I don't want to mention their names because I'll be advertising them for free. But these are academies that will be working with these models all the way. Some are even offering sponsorship to some of the students who are going to do very well. When it comes to music, we've decided to do what's called free recording, where we partner with some of the recording studios to just support the musicians, young musicians do free recording. And also when it comes to debates, we are currently those organizations that deals with life coaching, that will also be mentoring these young debaters to be able to become very good orators in future. So that is part and parcel of creating that continuity, so that we don't just leave them at that competition, and so we just try as much as we can to create that field where we can be able to still impact despite yeah.
So the current state of our creative industry,
Yes, sure.
there is quite complaints
Yeah.
about management, about rights, about how they are treated, if at all there is equity. So what do you make of these conversations about the creatives being given what they deserve?
I feel number one, there is less of what we call public awareness or creation of awareness, so to speak. We have people who purport to be representing the artist, but they are representing their own interest at the expense of the artist. That's why if you look at the creative industry as it is at the moment, so many artists are really suffering, to be very sincere. Yet there are people meant to represent them. So sometimes I also ask myself, what are they representing themselves, or they're representing the interest of other people? So the creative industry has got there's just a lot of mess. Let me just be very, very sincere. The people who genuinely deserve it, they don't get it. The people who are connected to the who of the who's are the ones who get it by the end of the day. So I feel also that they have just mentioned in my earlier statement that there's what called lack of public participation. There's lack of what called awareness. There's very less, there are very less programs that creates that awareness to them. That's why they operate like they don't know anything. They don't know their rights. They don't know their privileges. Yet these things they exist. Yeah.
Now, you've mentioned of there is a mess at the creative industry.
Exactly.
And this happens to people who are older. They have established themselves,
Exactly.
and you hear them complaining. Now, you're dealing with a generation
Sure.
that is, let's say, they're vulnerable.
Sure.
What are the plans of fighting for them to ensure that they get what they deserve? Because we've had musicians who are really talented, they are
Sure.
good, they're older, they can manage themselves, they can represent themselves even in court.
Yes, sure.
But then there's situations where they are used by producers, things like that. How do you manage to handle such situation in the creative industry?
First of all, what is ailing us, just as I'd mentioned, is that one of these things are also attributed by lack of exposure. When you're not exposed, like, for your case, you are exposed, so you know your rights. But for so many people down there, they're not they don't know their rights because they're not exposed. They're still living in some level of cocoon. And that is what we are trying as much as Semanami, we are trying as much as we can to be able to levelize them from that cocoon place where they are to a platform whereby they get some essence of exposure, because lack of exposure brings all that. Then number two, we have what we call there's also poverty. When you are poor and sorry for using a very bad term. Okay, anyway, when you are lacking, let me use the right term. When you are lacking, when you're lacking, you become vulnerable to anything for you to survive. So I feel also the essence of luck, because the communities that we touch, most of these young people, they are lacking, so to speak. And sometimes people tend to take advantage of them because they are lacking. So like people create shows, they give them platforms, come and advertise yourself, But I do challenge them and ask them, for how long will you keep advertising your music? You might grow old and develop gray hair when you're still just entertaining people for free. But I always tell them, it's high time for you people, if you realize that you've done so much on your brand, like personally you feel you've done a lot for your brand, and we also helped you as an organization develop your brand, it's high time you put these event organizers to task. And also, if you feel that you're lacking what you call maybe legal representation, because it's also part of poverty, because when when you're not financially viable, it means you cannot get access to proper legal representation. So we as an organization, we often tend to connect them to some of the legal connections that we do have, so that just in case of anything, this legal the people in the legal field can be able to mentor them and tell them, if this is what it is, these are some of the legal steps that you need to undertake. So I feel as an organization, we've really tried our best, despite the fact that looking at it on the broader picture, it's something that is heavy on our backs, but we are trying with the little that we can to be able to try to minimize some of these things that are happening.
You mentioned a very important point, that
Yes.
looking at the broader picture, because that is what I'm actually looking at right now.
Exactly.
Because for anyone to, there is that aspect of teaching someone to fish and giving someone fish.
Exactly.
Now, everyone is hungry.
Sure.
Everyone has a passion.
Sure.
Everyone has a vision and ambition. They want to be great.
Sure.
So that means everyone thinks they're capable.
Sure.
But then there is the aspect of giving people platform for them
Sure.
to perform. But now, how do you teach them to fish? Like, how do you teach them to vent for themselves? How does this happen? Because just being given a platform, like you're coming for the career fest, you present, that is showing what you got.
Yes,
But
sure.
then how do you help them know how to survive in the cruel industry?
How we help them to survive is very simple. For example, when I get an artist and I'm willing to support that artist, first of all, I ensure that what is going to take to the studio is of quality, because also, you can't support that it's something that is not of quality. That is something I do tell them. So you work on your craft. After working on your craft, now leave the other business to us. The other business that is left to us is, how are we going to ensure that craft gets some market? Because you can be a very good musician, but if you lack the market, you lack the connections, then your music is as good as nothing. you know. So we try as much as possible to also mentor them with their creatives, and after mentoring them, we look for avenues where that creativity that they have can be exposed. So I feel that is the best way that for us, we feel they can be able to be supported to be self-sustainable and self-sufficient by the end of the day.
How do you think the government, or what do you think the government should be doing differently to nurture talents? Because, yes, how do you think what the government should be doing differently to nurture talents?
I think the government is failing a big time, and I wish sometimes I just dream that one day, one time, maybe they will spot someone like me somewhere to be able to fix the mess. Because, you know, ideally speaking, we have quite a number of young people. Personally, I interact with, because I run a production, theater production, composing of over 30 young people who do drama, you know. And the same way, I also run a modeling academy of over, you know. So, but you realize by the end of the day, we are the people who run it. We try as much as possible to put in our resources to be able to support these people. But you know, for me, I'm just taking a smaller percentage. But there's a bigger percentage out there who are always crying right, left, and center of opportunities, feeling wasted, feeling misused. You know, I've seen sometimes, you know, it pains me a lot to see someone who is very talented lead a life like, you know, like they're very valueless, like nothing was really implanted in them that can really grow and become something, just because the government have got the resources, but now these resources are being held. There's some essence of monopoly. There are people at the top there who have monopolized these resources. Today, allow me to say this. Today, if you go for an audition, for instance, today, as you live here, I don't know, you're Anyango, right?
Yeah.
And you go for an audition, and the way I see you, you have all the capabilities and qualities. But someone will just look at you and say, okay, fine, I want Anyango to be there. But deep down in my heart, I have a relative of mine who is supposed to be there. I have someone in mind who's supposed to be there. Or I have a good content, like I'm a producer. Personally, I'm a producer, I'm a scriptwriter. I have a very good content, yes. But if I'm to take my content somewhere, like maybe to a certain media production, so that they can consider my content on air or as part of a series, they won't consider me. Why? Because there are people who are already monopolizing the market. So if the government can seriously raid on this, you know, this essence of this monopoly stuff, then I feel it will open a very bigger window for some of these creatives, so that we have people who are people who are talented, but again, they're seeing the benefits of their talents. Because majority of people are talented, but by the end of the day, they feel like their talent is a curse, which shouldn't be the case. Yeah.
What do you think leads to that feeling of you don't feel worthy, or you don't feel like you need to monetize your talent?
You know, if someone doesn't appreciate you, how do you feel by the end of the day? If I don't say you are looking good, of course you know you're looking good.
That is not a very good example, because I always feel I look good.
Yes, you always feel you look good. But what if someone sees an potential in you, but instead of them helping you, they either feel they're wasting time, they're going to waste their resources on you, or they feel you're not as per the standards. You know, you feel, by the end of the day, you feel demoralized. Let me just say something. Allow me just to say something. As I mentioned earlier, I run a production. And when I do my auditions, and this one I'm putting it on a public domain because it's something that I do. Even recently I did an audition. I don't focus so much on how good of an actor or an actress you are. In fact, for me, my auditions are just to give you that platform. I pick you. By the end of the day, I pick you the way you are, because I always believe that for you to take your time and make it to that audition, it means it's something that you're passionate about, you know. So now it's now your mandate, since that you've decided to join that place. Now it's your mandate to be able to prove to me that indeed you are passionate. How do you show me that you're passionate? You keeping time, always making it for rehearsals, you know, and always being ready to be corrected, and perfection of your craft. So most of the institutions that purport to be supporting talents, they always create an essence of discrimination. So, yeah, someone looks at you and, you know, we've made a very simple mistake. You know, they don't tell you which area have you gone wrong, where have you missed it, where have you gotten right, you know. So I feel that when people are not inspired, when you don't inspire someone to do something, you know, you don't correct with love, because, you know, there's a way you can also correct someone
And then you crash the
and then
vision.
you crash the vision. But there's a way you can correct in a polite manner, and by saying, okay, fine, I like the fact that you're good in this, but now if you can only fix this and that, I feel you can be much better. By the end of the day, someone feels, even if I was not that better, if someone feels inspired. Yeah, and I feel inspiration is what is lacking. People need to be inspired. Yeah.
Very good. And I believe this should also be extended to parents, because
Yes, sure.
in a family of three,
Yeah.
one child says, I want to be a doctor.
Yeah, sure.
Both parents will be like, yeah, we need to support you.
Exactly.
Another child says, I want to be a model.
I'm sure.
They'll be like, wait, what? You want to be a model. So how do you deal with that? Because you're dealing with young people. How do you deal with the situation where a child is talented, they want to, but they lack support from their parents?
I'll handle this question in two perspectives. The first one, I look at our curriculum. Our curriculum has made it believe that for you to make it in life, then you have to, the best way to make it in life is through education. That's why people are fighting for the A grades, the B grades. Nobody considers about that C person who can also do something very, something very good, that can help them out. But again, if you look at it on a realistic perspective, yeah, well, education is important because talent is just a supplement of of your education. So most parents the curriculum has always made parents to believe, especially the 844, has made parents to believe that talent is nothing. The only way you can succeed is get your A's or get your B's and do your medicine. But I'll also still answer it in another perspective as well. Government having realized some of the loopholes that exist in terms of realizing, kumbe, it's not about being good in academics. They've revised the curriculum to come up with the CB. It was CBC, now it has transitioned to CBE. We don't know whether it will transition to CBA, who knows. But because parents have come to realize that, the government has come to realize that sometimes, we lose a lot of potential people who can add something to the economy through their creatives. And that is why now they feel it's high time for us to change this notion and introduce. And in fact, parents have really received it well. In my academy, for instance, I have so many parents. Right now, I can confidently say that so many parents who are even registering their kids for my academy and are willing to pay fee for just for their kids to be trained on music, their kids to be trained on modeling, because now they're seeing the other side of their kids that remained hidden in education. You get, but well said. I feel it's time the government should introduce what we call an all-round curriculum that focuses on both education and also focuses on talent. We should not also put so much efforts on talent and forget about education, or education and forget about talents. Yeah.
Now, how do you balance social impact and financial stability? Because as you support these talents,
Sure.
you also need finances.
Yeah.
How do you balance that?
Do you mind coming back again?
I mean, in as much as you want to help the young people nurture their talent,
Exactly.
there's also the financial aspect of it.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't be waking up every day and doing all this, yet you are not making any profit. So how do you balance this?
The best way to how I do balance it is that I don't depend so much on talent, like talent development and stuff. I'm a radio host, I also have some of my businesses, small businesses. I don't want to mention them on air, but I also have my business running. Because for sure, you can't be supporting talents on an empty pocket. By the end of the day, you realize that either you're likely to turn out to be a scam, because how then do you support, and also at the same time you also depend from the same talent cookie jar for you to survive. So for me, I'm a jack of so many trades. This is just one of the trades, that are part of my trades. Yeah.
Do you have any plans of extending this to other counties? Because if this is helping the young people of Nairobi,
Sure.
Machakos, and
Kajiado.
Kajiado,
Yes, sure.
are there plans to expand this to help other talents in the country? And if so, how?
I have plans to to make Semanami, a county affair, but also cross our borders to, to other neighboring countries. And the only way I'm doing, as a vision bearer, one of the things that I'm currently doing to be able to realize is that I'm creating what you call a spark of connections. Like recently, I had a team that visited me at Daystar. Of course, we have offices at Shalom House, but sometimes I reside at Daystar. And they were they were from Machakos. They saw, they were following my work online, and they were like, how can we be able to partner and create maybe a Machakos festival, talent festival from your, So, through such kind of connections where people look at your work because of strong social media marketing, we are able to expound on our limited borders, because I always believe that once you have a vision and you know where that vision is going, any man who has a vision will always do his best to ensure that, to turn things around to ensure that vision is realized. Yeah, as long as you're walking the dream and you're dreaming the dream and you are making some steps towards that dream, some things with time, everything will just fall in place.
They say winners identify each other.
Exactly. Sure.
Now, how can someone like me, someone who is there at home,
Yes, sure.
be part of Semanami?
It's just very simple. Identify yourself. What is bringing you to Semanami? Is it talent? Is it because you are passionate about community work? You want to make an impact in terms of providing financial literacy, legal literacy, and also just doing some, probably maybe you're passionate about charity because we also do charity works as well. Yeah, so it's you. The bottom line is identify yourself. What is bringing you? It's not my mandate to identify it for you. So you identify yourself, and then after identifying yourself, what you really want for yourself, then come forth. We'll be able to see how best you can be able to move or forge forward. Yeah, sure.
Just to get you a little back,
No worries.
bringing or coming up with a community-based organization
Sure.
is never an easy task. What are the takeaways that you've had of 5 years in managing this organization?
Is it in terms of registration or just general running?
General running of the program, because there is from registration, from getting people on board, getting people to believe in your vision, getting people to believe that if I be part of this program, it can really change my life. How do you do that?
I think the biggest challenge is if you have people who don't dream the way you dream. I could be dreaming east and someone is dreaming north. By the end of the day, our dreams do not connect. So I've always had people who, in an organization, there are people who are pushers. You have to push them to do things, Otherwise, if you don't push them, nothing will work. And there are people who are not, who don't see things the way you're seeing them. I can be seeing something in a certain way, but some people don't see it. So you realize that those are some of the, challenges that I've always had with the people I'm working with. But every day I don't give up on them. I always inspire them, mentor them, tell them, okay, hey, now take it for instance. I'm non-existent. For instance, do you mean Semanami will fall? And they're like, oh, okay. If Gordon is no longer in the picture, then So they try as much as they have their weaknesses. They also try as much as possible to to try out their very best. Then in terms of mentorship, because as someone who bears the vision, it's also my mandate to mentor them. In everything that I undertake, I always ensure that I involve them in every process. Like, for instance, I realized that I'm very good in marketing. I'm very, very good in marketing and closing deals. So sometimes I carry them. When I go to close a deal, maybe with a company, a corporate, or an institution, I carry them along, one of them, and tell them, now, this is how it's done. Now, sit down, watch how I do it. Now, after doing what I do, I now send you as an attachee to go try out what I did so that I see if you are able to close a deal or not able to close a deal. So I feel just as a summary way of answering your question is that when you are a vision bearer, sometimes people don't see that dream the way you see it. So it is often your mandate to ensure that they walk the talk or walk in line with how you're walking, how you're running your things. Yeah.
Okay, that
Yes,
is
sure.
very well said.
Yeah.
Now, as we bring this to an end,
Sure.
talk to us about the June 21st event. What is expected there? How stakeholders or anyone who wants to be involved can be part of it.
All right. So the June 20th and 21st is our our fourth edition of Interschools Festival. And this year we've decided to make it a bit unique in that for the first time we're introducing a podcast session for high school students. We've partnered with NAFSI Africa, who will be offering us a podcast studio where students will have a host who will address some of the issues that are affect students on areas such as drugs, alcohol, sexualism, and also identity perspective. And another thing that we've also introduced this year is that we've introduced unique talents. Like we've introduced acrobatism for the first time, salsa dance. We've also introduced other cultural dances that are not really limited to Kenyan cultures. So, and also in terms of career, we've always given our windows to universities and colleges to come forth. So if you're an university or a college that feels that this is a right platform for you to be able to come and maybe share your courses with the candidates, because we'll also be having a session with the candidates where we'll be talking much about career, and general mentorship. So we are inviting colleges, universities, some that have not registered with us. There's still a window of opportunity to come forth and just register. Yeah.
Any last one for viewers at home?
Last word is just believe in yourself. Once you believe in yourself, you'll be able to know your worth. Once you know your worth, you get to avenues that you feel can be able to help you re-identify yourself, because that is the biggest thing that I can say. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Now, I will extend this invitation to high school teachers, students, clubs and societies in campuses and in high schools. Do you also do primary schools?
We used to, but we stopped.
You stopped.
Yeah,
So
and also corporates that are willing to chip in.
Yeah, and corporates, if you're willing to be part of the Inter-School Debate Symposium and Career Fest, always feel free to tag along and to register with them. You didn't tell us where they're registering.
All right, let me share my number. They can register through 07 18 18 76 73. 07 18 18 76 73. That's the number that they can reach out to in case they want to register or want to be part and parcel of this amazing event.
All right, now this is an opportunity for you to make a difference in the creative industry by bringing all those who are talented on board and helping them manage their talents and help monetize them. So this has been the conversation on Inter-School Debate and the Symposium and Career Fest that is to take place on the 20th and 21st of June at Kinyanjui Road Primary School grounds.
Sorry, it's Bethmugo High School.
Bethmugo?
Yeah, I think it's Bethmugo High School. We changed it to Bethmugo High School, Dagoretti.
All right, at Bethmugo High School. So do the registration right now. And right now we are taking yet again another short break. We will be back with news updates.
KUTV nilipatia mahali pa kunawiri makali yangu.
KUTV imenisaidia sana, and hadi wa leo I still meet people who tell me, si wewe ulianzeaga KUTV? Sikuamini.
Mfano kabisa ningesema hujambo mtazamaji kwa sauti, lakini wakati huu nikisema hujambo yani inakuja na ile command.
Back then, as much as it's a long time ago, they still recall.
Unakumbuka nilikuwa hapa KUTV wakati huo. Alafu simu ikaingia namba 0719. Hello, this is the Standard Group.
So it shows that visibility is definitely important.
Nikilinganisha safari hizo mbili, kuna utofauti mkubwa sana.
It was a dream come true for me.
Maelfu na maelfu ya wahamiaji wakiwa na watoto kutoka nchi za Amerika ya Kati wanaendelea kuwasili kwenye mpaka kati ya Marekani na Mexico.
But folks, I'm going. Thank you very, very much. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Ni habari kutoka pembe zote duniani.
Pepopa si vuguvugu. Pepopa ni idea.
Tazidi ananyonya, hanyonyi vizuri, anakuwa hayuko comfortable.
Jeshi la Jamhuri ya Kidemokrasia ya Kongo linapambana na waasi wa ADF.
Kwa sasa wanatoa wito kwa mashirika, makampuni na vile vituo vya uchukuzi.
Mambo mengi yatakwenda kama yalivyopangwa.
Hapa ni kuna mmoja wa viongozi wa chama cha wavuvi katika eneo hili.
Zaidi tunajaribu kuwapa chanjo ili ina boost ama inanyanyua kinga ya mwili, hiyo inaenda kupelekea kupambana na virusi.
Ni duniani leo, Jumatatu mpaka Ijumaa, moja kwa moja kutoka VOA Swahili, Washington DC.
Na uso wa jamii. Kupanda shuka akawa tuzo, ukakamavu wake ukatii na kumfanya mwenye bidii. Kwa machozi na makeke akabaini jinsi ya kuweni. Huyu ni mwanamke ngangari kwa jinsi alivyo ng'ari. Mimi ni mwanamke mwake. Usikose kutazama kipindi cha mwanamke mwake nami Caroline Kimwele.
Are you healthy, or rather, do you maintain a healthy lifestyle? According to WHO, health is regarded as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely the absence of disease. Welcome to Focus on Health, a show on all matters health, wellness, and lifestyle. On this show, we cover a wide variety of topics, inclusive of but not limited to dental, optical, mental, reproductive health, and so much more. Join me, Joy Bofenda, every Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on KUTV for compelling insights and discussions on all matters health. See you then.
Focus on Health, your weekly dose of health and wealth information on KUTV.
All right, so much has been happening this morning. Very interesting discussion, digital marketing, nurturing careers, not really careers, but skills that are necessary for young people to older. Now that has been what we just had on the launch tour of our guests, that is Gordon Oduor and Moses Were, who are here on studio. And right now, we are about to have a look at the news updates. And before we get into that, just a reminder of what is happening on our dailies. Yesterday marked 1,000 days of Ruto in office, and we had several feedbacks from the public, look into what has been happening with his government for the last 1,000 days. We'll be looking at that shortly. That story is also given prominence on the on the Daily Nation, where Ruto at 100 days is also a headline there. And the biggest headline, that's what the Standard and the Daily Nation have this morning, is the commanders, that is Douglas Kanja, Inspector General of Police, Eliud Lagat, Deputy Inspector General of Police, and Mohammed Amin, Directorate of Criminal Investigation boss. And this is in relation to the death of Albert Ojwang, who lost his life in the hands of police officer. So that is just among the few headlines that you're having. So many stories inside the newspapers. So if you can get a copy of it, you'll get to have more on that on the Standard. That story is given prominence. It's from page 2 to page 3 on the Daily Nation. It is on page 2 and page 3 also. The Star this morning is having a different talk about politics, why Mudavadi is on shaky ground ahead of 2027 polls, and it talks about how Mudavadi's idea or move to dissolve his party puts him in jeopardy because right now everyone is coming up with parties, and I don't know what he will make of himself come 2027, because we have had so many leaders who are complaining that trusting the president without a political party is a huge mess. So that story is given prominence on the Star. That is page 4 and 5. You can read more on that and many other stories in those newspapers. Now, moving on to what we have prepared for you on the news, what has been shaping your world this morning, straight to the Inspector General of Police, Douglas Kanja, ordered the suspension of several officers at the Central Police Station in Nairobi, including the Officer Commanding Station, that is OCS, and all the officers that were present the day the Kenyan social media influencer Albert Ojwang passed away. Here's more. Controversy behind the murder of social media influencer Albert Ojwang has continued to spark reactions regarding who was behind it. In response to this, Inspector General of Police Douglas Kanja ordered the suspension of several officers at the Central Police Station following the tragic and unclear death of Kenyan influencer Albert Ojwang to allow investigation to take place.
During a routine cell inspection, Ojwang was found unconscious. He was immediately rushed to Bagathi Hospital for treatment, as documented at the occurrence book number 9/08/06 of 2025 at 01:39 hours. Upon arrival, he was declared dead.
According to reports surfacing in the media, the earlier claims that Ojwang killed himself is not yet verified. However, according to Ojwang's father, who was today at City Mortuary reviewing the body, the injuries his son had were not suicidal, but show that he was being tortured.
Ojwang was arrested, together with a few others. It's because there was a complaint that had been launched by the DIG KPS about his name being tarnished.
A number of protesters were observed today in response to the unclear death. However, security was heightened at Central Police Station. On the other hand, the Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, led by Ahmed Isaac Hassan and Commissioner Dr. Mika Onyego, on their X page has initiated an inquiry to determine the cause of death of Ojwang and hold accountable those responsible.
So I don't have much information to tell you from my POA, just to confirm that we have received the information about the death from the IG, and we have commenced our investigations in accordance with the law.
The former Deputy President of Kenya, Rigathi Gachagua, addressed the killing of Albert Ojwang, calling for suspension of Deputy Inspector General Eliud Lagat, as he was dissatisfied about the suspension of the junior officers.
Sasa huyu Albert tumtafutie haki yake, si ndio? Si lazima tumtafutie haki yake? Nani kuambia wewe Kasongo, shida ile uko nayo inakusumbua, ni damu ya Gen Z iko mkononi mwako.
But a young man brought 400 kilometers from where he was, without being given an opportunity to defend himself, dies in what is clearly a very unfortunate, mysterious circumstance in police cells. This country doesn't really need that. It's really sad and unfortunate. I want to send our sincere condolences to his family.
As Albert Ojwang's cause of death remain in question, his family demands thorough investigation, justice and accountability. However, the DIG, Eliud Langat's reaction involvement has raised questions on if he is to be considered responsible. Anyango Sylvia, KUTV. Now, chaos erupted at Central Police Station yesterday after angry protesters stormed the premises, with others gathering in Nairobi's Central Business District, demanding justice for Albert Ojwang, who died in police custody, calling for action and accountability regarding his unclear death.
Cries engulfed Nairobi Central District today as activists and distressed members of the public came out to air their grievances regarding the death of an ex-based influencer who died while in custody at Central Police Station. The angry protesters are now demanding for answers regarding his mysterious death. The attempts of police officers to disperse the angry protesters using tear gas did not bear any fruits. However, calm was restored.
Viva comrades, viva! Viva! Hata fanda anapata mshahara kidogo. Lazima tumtetee. Sisi lengo letu ni moja. Viva comrades, viva! Viva! Lengo letu ni moja. We are not leaving this place until Lagat resigns. Viva comrades, viva! Viva comrades, viva! Until now, do not engage the police. Do not engage the police. Do not engage the police. Do not engage the police.
The turmoil began when the late Albert Ojwang was pronounced dead, with activists and social media influencers storming social media pages calling for protest in support of Ojwang, who, according to reports, committed suicide, something that was largely rubbished by the protesters. His arrest and death has sparked public outrage from various leaders, including Migori Senator Eddie Okech, who has cited that the killers of Ojwang must be unmasked. Calls are growing louder for an investigation into the probe, protesters insisting that justice must be served. The death of Albert Ojwang in police custody has sparked public outrage as members of the public now want an end to police brutality and justice for Albert Ojwang. Faith Njoki, KUTV, Nairobi.
Now, yesterday marked the completion of President Ruto's first 1,000 days since being sworn in as the President of the Republic of Kenya. Our political affairs correspondent, Dosmail Hassan, paints a picture of the achievements and challenges President Ruto has faced since taking office as Kenya's 5th president.
Kawaida kama kamanda wa kijeshi waendapo vitani ukibeba kitara kuashiria wao ndio wanatoa amri.
When he stood before Kenyans on 13th September 2022, moments after being sworn in as the 5th president of the Republic of Kenya, he expressed the hopes of more than 7 million Kenyans who voted for him, a hope to transform the nation.
I promise to make every Kenyan proud and to ensure the economic well-being of all of us.
And now, after the first 1,000 days in office, an assessment of whether President Ruto has fulfilled his promise to propel the nation forward is a topic that elicits mixed reactions.
I am committed, I am determined, I am focused on transforming Kenya.
Kenya's economy has been a central measure in evaluating Ruto's 1,000 days. Ruto himself has proudly claimed to have grown the economy. It is during this period that, according to the International Monetary Fund (IMF), Kenya is on the track to become the leading economy in the East African region, surpassing even Ethiopia. Despite major economic challenges such as unemployment, high cost of living, and a large national debt, the Kenya shilling has appreciated against the dollar. Inflation, too, has also decreased, dropping from 7.6% when Ruto took office to 3.8% this year.
We managed to tighten our belt. It was difficult, and we avoided a default. The result of that tightening our belt has given us results. It has given us results. Today, Our inflation, which was at 9.6, is at 3.8.
In the first half of his term, President Ruto has faced significant setbacks due to his projects being frequently halted by court orders. His administration has also encountered fierce opposition from his critics, led by his former deputy Rigathi Gachagua.
Tuko na shida pale mambo ya housing. Hii housing imelazimishwa wa Kenya kutoa housing levy kwa lazima. Hiyo pesa sasa imechukuliwa, imepeleka kujenga soko.
The Gen Z have also posed a major challenge to Ruto's policy formulation, especially following the demonstration against the 2024 finance bill. The Gen Z have also been vocal critics of his administration on social media platforms. Ruto's government has further been plagued by serious concerns over human rights violation, particularly allegations surrounding the abduction of government critics. Blue Smile Hassan, KUTV.
All right, that's just a snippet of a news update this morning. Thank you so much for being part of us throughout the discussions that we have had this morning, which is very interesting and insightful. So I will leave you with a word that says there is pain in everything. You need to choose your pain, whether it's the pain of action or the pain of inaction. Whether you participate in the Finance Bill 2025 or not, in one way or another, it will affect you. So whether there is pain of participating in it, and there is also pain of not participating in it, you need to choose your struggle. Whether you want to be successful, there is pain of going to the gym, there is pain of being lazy, there is pain of going to work, there is pain of not going to work. So you need to choose your pain, because at the end of the day, in every choice you make, there is pain that comes with it. That marks the end of Biashara Tuesday on this 10th day of June 2025. Thank you so much for being part of us. When we meet next time, I'll be a year older. When we meet next time, I'll be a year older because I'll be turning a year older. Ladies don't say their ages. I'll be turning a year older on Sunday. That is it from us. Thank you so much for being part of us. See you next week.